Ho, 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 motherfuckers. It's happening again. Here on the OSMcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the OSMcast with an upward inflection, the podcast for everything. Sometimes awesome, sometimes it's this. I'm John.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Abby.
And we're back. We're recording this at the time almost 3 years to the day that we released our first My Santa episode. And this whole time there's been a second episode. And I've just been holding that card, waiting for the right time to play it. And the right time is now. We're going to be getting into episode 2 of Ken Akamatsu's Itsudatte My Santa. A giant piece of shit and totally unnecessary. Both Ken Akamatsu and the actual episode itself.
Especially Ken Akamatsu.
Yeah. Remember, everybody, if you want to join the discussion on this and other such important topics, you can join our Discord. You can hang out with us, talk with us. Share your shit. Delve into our character name thread where we posted like 8,000 character names for your D&D needs or whatever else you need a name for.
10 or 20 are even serious suggestions.
Some of them.
Yeah, some.
One out of every 20. And also, support the Patreon. Support the people who make this possible. I don't think I see any of that money. I think that all goes to Basil, but everybody likes Basil, so go give them money.
Yeah, I think it mostly goes to keeping the lights on, so to speak. So at least where we're at now.
Yeah. So, and also I think you can pay to have Kevin do some shit. Like not sex stuff, but kind of like sex adjacent.
I mean, if you want to donate a whole lot to the OSMcast, contact me on privately. But
no, we're not above sex work.
No, we're not.
But before we get into all of that crap, let's do some moments of awesome.
It's a moment of awesome.
The last time the three of us did moments of awesome, I shoved everyone out of the way so I could yell Baldur's Gate as fast as I could. So I'm gonna let somebody else go first.
Well, I've recently been playing a game, really recently. I'm filling gaps between a game I'm waiting to come out. But I'm playing a game called Miasma Chronicles, which I think has flown completely under everyone's radar, and maybe rightly so. But it's from the makers of Mutant Year Zero, which only flew slightly less under people's radars. And has a very similar real-time exploration, turn-based combat kind of game. Whereas Mutant Year Zero was kind of like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles After the Bomb RPG in game form that you didn't know you needed. Miasma Chronicles takes place in a post-apocalyptic Kentucky, where a guy named Elvis, named for the ancient great king, is trying to, understand bizarre ancient technology that has destroyed the world, and is probably why, the rich billionaires became like a autocratic class controlling the nation. It's got, unlike Mutant Year Zero, it's not as absolutely crushing in difficulty because they added difficulty selection. The combat is highly tactical. If you've got it on normal difficulty setting, you really have to think before you enter a battle. But interestingly, it has a bit of a stealth element, and that if you can find enemies on the fringes of groups, and you have any type of silent attacks, you can take them out without alerting their friends, so you can thin down the numbers, or maybe even take everyone out before they even know you're there. If you're smart, lucky, or, and once the game gives you someone with a silenced rifle, and you go, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. In any case, glass bottles are your most valuable resource because you can throw them and have people walk towards them. I got it on a PlayStation sale. I believe it's also available at very least on PC through Steam for sure. It's about $50, but I got it for like about 20 on sale, and I honestly say it's a really solid $20 game. Maybe not a $50 game, but it's been nicely filling a little void in my life as I wait for Warhammer Rogue Trader to come out tomorrow. So, at time of recording. Now that's about that.
Abby, how about you? What you got?
I've mainly been playing 14 a lot all the time, but Hank did show me airplanes, trains, and automobiles. Like, I've actually never seen that before. I've known about it, but I've never seen it, and I actually liked it a lot. I was pretty surprised because I usually don't like a lot of holiday films that much. They're usually kind of just there to me, but that one was really enjoyable. Like, I actually liked that it did actually feel pretty sweet, but not in like a too corny way. Like, the ending was definitely corny, but it felt like it was definitely earned. But like, it's basically just this guy is trying to get home for Thanksgiving, and he's going on a plane, very like on the line of making it on time from work. And he ends up not being able to get a taxi because he's in New York City, and obviously everyone else is trying to go back home. And this guy, like, he comes over and he's like, oh, this taxi stop, and he just takes the taxi from him, even though this other guy on the other side was basically bartered with another guy to give him his taxi. And it's just an adventure of them both trying to get home for the holiday. And like the silly, weird, just bad shit that happens. That's funny for us, but not really for them.
An excellent pick. I have been into something just about as old. Back in, I think it was October when they did the second Prime Day, I bought the complete collection of the first G.I. Joe series. I've been watching that. I will say, surprisingly watchable in 2023. It's been... See, some of the episodes are like, huh, you know what, this kind of makes a weird amount of sense. And some of the episodes are just like batshit insane. Like, one of the ones I watched very recently had Cobra summoning spirits via I believe the proper term we'll use here, this is not the term they use, but we'll say spiritual medium. You can kind of guess what the term they might have used might have been. Anyway, and they were bound to various objects. So, there's like a Roman centurion and a Chinese warrior and an American pilot. And of course, the American pilot kind of defects from Cobra because, of course he does. He's over here fighting G.I. Joe. He's like, wait, these are my guys. But a real weird fucking episode. It just comes from nowhere. All of a sudden, there's magic and ghosts, and it's all treated very seriously. And then everybody goes on their fucking lives afterwards. I'll say this every time I mention G.I. Joe. So there's a couple of intros, because the first two sets of episodes were kind of done in like a mini-series type, where it was like, one cohesive story over, 5 or 6 episodes. And then they did a second one called The Revenge of Cobra. Those each have their own unique intros. Those are not the ones you want to see. The one you want to see is the one that they used for the remainder of season 1, and I don't know how long they used it. But, it features G.I. Joe. They're getting on this giant Cobra plane. They set a bomb. The bomb explodes. The plane crashes into the ground. Presumably everybody dies except G.I. Joe runs unscathed from the wreckage through fire, and then the American, red, white, and blue backdrop, drops down behind them, and it's the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. It's just incredibly stupid. Not unlike what we're going to be talking about today. And if that's not a transition, I don't fucking know what is. So we're gonna just start off with some of the basic stats and info that you need to know. This is based off of the work of shitty Ken Akamatsu, who is a noted manga artist and politician who worked to defend, well, Lolicon.
Yeah. Lolly nonsense.
Yeah, making sure that shit stayed nice and legal, so that's gross. Super gross.
This is a man who now makes decisions that affect the lives of everyone in Japan, and possibly outside of Japan to a certain extent.
And also has kids, which, yeah.
Someone married him?
Yeah, he's married and has
Ew.
2 kids. Yeah, it's real gross.
I hope whatever woman he's married to just randomly punches him in the face for no reason out of the blue. It's it's what he deserves.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes, I hope art imitates life and he is just constantly getting his ass kicked by his wife.
Yes. Yes.
The studio was TNK, who's also known for High School DxD, School Days. And I'm using Basil's notes from 3 years ago for this because it's exactly the same. Which he notes, in addition, School Days, High School DxD, and other trash. Those are Basil's words, and they are as true now as they ever were.
Oh, I would have rather watched School Days. I'm going to be real with you.
Yeah, at least School Days has a good ending.
Yeah, School Days has the best ending. And I want Discotheque to release it on Blu-ray with an English dub.
Ooh.
I want that. I want that. I would speak. If I were Elon Musk, aside from not being a giant piece of shit, the first handful of things I'd do would be solve world hunger, and after that I would immediately try to re-release Ava with Fly Me to the Moon on Blu-ray. And yeah, I'd probably somewhere after I'm done doing the really important shit would get School Days made on Blu-ray with an English dub.
I mean, we deserve it because we're getting Handmade May that nobody asked for. So you know what?
I sometimes wonder about a few of those Discotheque choices. There always seems to be one that feels a little bit, someone forced this on you, right? They made you take this as part of a package deal, so you're just going to release it anyways.
My neurodivergence is so bad that I am not the person to ask about what's popular or what people should do. I'm just not.
If you're listening to this and you really love Handmade May, come to our Discord and tell us that.
Yeah, please.
The OP slaps. I'll give it that. The OP is really good.
We're being unfair to Handmade May. Come and tell us.
Yeah.
Hey, I rewatched an episode a couple years ago. So I watched the first episode and was like, I can't believe I liked this when I was younger. I loved it when I was younger. It was a favorite of mine when I was 12.
We all like dumb shit when we were younger. We all like dumb shit now.
Yes.
I always tell people it's fine to like something stupid as long as you're willing to admit that it's stupid.
Yeah, like me with Aiken.
Yeah, like when you start to defend it as something good, that's when there's a problem.
I've recently found myself rewatching a lot of Troma Films catalog, and if ever there's a definition of incredibly stupid and terrible but good, it's the filmography of Troma Pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was one of theirs Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead? Was that
yes,
Troma?
it was.
I thought so.
Oh my god.
I met the dude who did a bunch of Troma stuff at Dragon Con the one time I went. He was really nice. I liked him a lot. Anyway, this was directed by Noriyoshi Nakamura. Don't know what he's been up to in the last 3 years, but he apparently did some storyboards for other series. And I'm not gonna do the full rundown of everybody.
They probably don't want to be mentioned.
Yeah, I do remember going through a little bit of the animators and realizing a couple of them have a couple of the animators also worked on Gurren Lagann and a couple other Trigger projects. Well, okay, Gurren Lagann wasn't Trigger, but I mean it's basically the same people.
It wasn't, but it definitely was.
Yeah.
But it's and that's but that's two of them. That's two of the animators. And they list about a dozen. And most of them do not have faces next to their names on whatever anime staff lookup thing does that. So I just assumed they did nothing else of note.
I mean, the animation was not the best for this, so I'm not surprised.
I am going to briefly mention the voice cast here, particularly the English dub. We have Santa, who is played by Chris Burnett. He, if you didn't catch the first one, he was a kid that was born on December 24th. His parents named him Santa, and then they promptly abandoned him.
To go live with other children.
Yes.
Yeah, so he basically gets abandoned by his parents.
They're just like, we're going to help other children, not you, though.
As they help these other kids who are ostensibly orphaned, but they orphaned their own fucking son and left him in Japan. You know, Granny helped raise him, but, you know, he was mostly just by himself, a miserable little shit for, you know, the first, 15, 16 years of his life until our protagonist, Mai, shows up. She is voiced by Brittany Karbowski, who I have a very funny secondhand anecdote about that I'll share offline. Because, first of all, it's secondhand, and while I absolutely believe it to be true, it's still secondhand.
It's weird when I realized in Japanese she's voiced by Aya Hirano, and it's like, wow, that's early Aya Hirano role.
Wow.
Yeah, I will say it's nothing bad about Brittany Karbowski. It's just funny. And not something that I would freely circulate without, like, firsthand knowledge and approval by the person, because it is kind of an embarrassing story, but nothing like,
Nothing cancelable.
yeah, nothing cancelable. Unlike the voice of Shari, Alison Victorin, who, if you want to go for a ride, read her Wikipedia and go check out her Instagram.
Oh no!
If you need more selling on going and checking out her Wikipedia, I have 2 words: January 6th.
Oh no! I feel like I've made another mistake by watching it in Japanese yet again.
Yeah, I watched it in Japanese too. I don't know if the One Piece I got even had it in English.
I listened to a couple bits in English and also weirdly Italian, because apparently the source of the that I got was originally Italian. Because this is a hard anime to track down. This actually is a hard anime to track down.
Yeah, so we got the same one.
Yeah, it's very hard to track down. It is one of the gems of my anime collection, because I do own the very rare English US release. If you don't already know, it was quickly recalled because the back cover had a rating of TVPG printed on it instead of TVMA, which
God.
Big whoopsie. Funimation immediately recalled it.
I'd say in a sane world it would be TVPG, but it does have some boobies. So
it does.
And panty shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a good amount of nudity and fan service, and Funimation originally planned to release a corrected version the following holiday season, but never did. So I came across it in a used bookstore, bought it, and I was like, oh shit, this is both terrible and amazing, because you cannot find it. So yeah, Alison Victorin voices Sherry. She is another obnoxious Santa Claus, like Mai. They grew up together, but then they were in separate classes and they fight all the time. And then we have Mai's little sister Mai, who barely speaks, is voiced by Colin Clinkenbeard, which is really weird.
Didn't need to be there at all. It was basically just there to be Ken Akamatsu's lolly.
Well, that.
Yeah.
And she exists strictly as a plot contrivance, which we will get into at a later point.
Right.
And then there is one of their teachers, Miss Noel, who I believe is voiced by Stephanie Young under an alias, which I don't believe.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I realized the teacher was named Miss Noel. I have to admit, I actually did chuckle a little bit. But
yeah,
that was like one of the few jokes that worked for me.
Yeah, it's one of the few that landed. And then there's the star of the show, Pedro the reindeer. The only good fucking thing about this show is Pedro.
Yes.
So this is probably going to be a short episode, because this is a 30-minute OVA.
Like, this is, oddly enough, not mostly at Christmas.
No.
It's just kind of, it's like mostly at a beach.
Yeah. So before we dive into like what little meat is on this bone, give me just like your general take on this. Like, give me your general overview on this.
Oh, God.
Because I found it to be excessively unnecessary in every way, shape, and form. And also, and this is an achievement. It is notably worse than the first one.
Yeah. I was not part of that original podcast with episode 1, and I watched episode 1 in preparation for talking about episode 2 because, of course, 1 almost works. I mean, it's not great. It's got a lot of the things about Ken Akamatsu stories that bug me are a part of it, but I mean, it tells a story. It tells a story, and it almost, like, even if it doesn't quite succeed, it was trying for a heartwarming story, and it felt done. It's like, well, that was a nice little one shot. We don't ever have to think about that again. I only wasted a half hour of my life, not like I wasted an hour of my life watching 2 episodes of this. You know, that could have been fine. That could have been the end. And I felt the second episode really relied heavily on basically humor from the first episode repeating.
Yes.
Yes, the first shot is literally exactly the same as the first episode. Like the whole thing of Mai's just doing weird shit to the main character, to Santa, and then the cops coming and being like, we're taking you for questioning because you keep slapping around this guy.
The only Santa power I genuinely respect is the apparent escape from the cops power.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a useful power.
Yeah, the ACAB power there. Yeah, it's note for note the first, like 2 minutes. In the dub, I don't know about in Japanese, but in the dub, the cops say the exact same thing both times. Like, yeah, tell it down to the guys at the station.
I'm not even sure why they're hauling her off, to be terribly honest. But
because she's just slapping people around. Yeah, she was slapping him around.
Yeah.
It's like the one time the cops were doing their jobs. Like, oh, someone got slapped. We actually have to stop that.
Maybe I'm just too used to anime tropes. I'm like, I don't know. It's like just a girl beating up a guy. That's like, every day in Japan, right?
Especially Ken Akamatsu. That's like everything is a woman just beats the shit out of some guy.
Oh, see, that's what really bugs me about Ken Akamatsu stuff is just I'll admit his male protagonists are dumbasses who are typically behave in a stupid manner, but generally speaking, they get their asses kicked for basically no reason whatsoever. Constantly. Like, take Ranma 1/2. Ranma 1/2 gets his ass beat by women all the time, but he's got an asshole streak. He usually had it coming.
Yes, he usually deserves it.
Like, there's a difference. Sometimes it's a little overly aggressive ass kicking. Like, maybe he didn't deserve the whole ass kicking, but maybe it's disappropriate retribution, but he was asking for it. Most Ken Akamatsu characters just like I'm going to charge into your room completely naked, and you looked at me, so I'm going to beat you within an inch of your life. It's like, what the hell, lady?
And they don't beat them up when they actually deserve it. Like Santa just kissed Mai in the first episode unprompted. I was like, see, that he would deserve to get his ass kicked for, but that she was like, oh, cool, this is awesome. Now I'm going to become big titty, big ass Santa now.
Big kitty Santa.
Yes, well, just what, that's our moral,
Yep.
If you kiss the girl who's maybe not built like a porn star, maybe she'll turn into a porn star.
In his meager defense, as loath as I am to defend Santa on this, she did kiss him first earlier in the episode.
Yeah, that's true. And it was kind of surprising.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, this takes place 6 months after the original. So that's why so much of it takes place at the beach, because they're in the middle of the fucking year. And then Sherry shows up. And she's like, all right, I've been assigned this area. You gotta get the fuck up out of here.
There's a new Santa in town.
There's a new Santa in town. They immediately fight, and by fight I mean they have a magical pissing contest where Mai can only summon things with the word "son" in them, and that's like a really lame joke that they actually in the English dub they actually use the Japanese words because otherwise the whole bit doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then Sherry's ability is to shout "gorgeous," and then they become very large versions of the thing that Mai has conjured. And they just do this back and forth for like a solid 2 minutes. It's boring, it's pointless, it's not funny.
What kind of bullshit Santa powers are these?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Anyway, after they're done fighting, they decide to go get something to eat, and that's when Mai runs into her teacher, Miss Noel, who was like, "Oh yeah, hey, so you heard, you gotta get your ass out of here. I know this is hard, so I'm gonna give you until midnight on Christmas Eve to get your shit in order." And so, cut to a montage of the next 6 months. Like it literally goes like, it's so fast. Where it's just like, okay, Sherry's trying to give Santa and Mai some alone time so they can, express their feelings for one another and be able to, when she leaves, they can do it on good terms. But Mai's little sister, Mai, who has also shown up.
That's just the most disturbing looking tiny child I've seen in anime.
Very tiny child who barely speaks, but she is the harbinger of Sherry, Silver Surfer, and Galactus. And she basically just like horns in on all of their time. She just little sibling thing, always there hanging around.
And bites Sherry whenever Sherry tries to get her out of the way for a minute.
She literally eats her ass at one point.
Yes, that's why I was like, of course, Ken Akamatsu, little lolly, has to eat some other woman's ass. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's 100% a thing that happens.
From a certain point of view.
So, all of a sudden it's Christmas Eve. They still haven't fucking said anything of note to one another, and Sherry's still trying to like set things up for these two so they can have a good, conversation before Mai has to go back to the North Pole and finish her Santa training under Master Yoda or whoever the
fuck. Master Claus.
Yeah, Master Claus.
Who teaches that is the weird I mean, honestly, that there's just a whole fleet of Santas actually is one of the better explanations for how do you get gifts to children all over the world.
Yeah, well, there's a multiple of them.
It's a shame it's not in a smarter anime.
It is. It's in Those Who Hunt Elves. This isn't even an original idea. Those Who Hunt Elves did this exact same thing.
Well, I guess I should have watched Those Who Hunt Elves.
I mean, it's not Citizen Kane, but it is, it's fine.
It's definitely funner than this.
Yeah, it's a 90s ADV anime where they tried to sell as being way more titties than there were.
Of course.
ADV sold a lot of false bills of goods on promises of titties that, never quite materialized.
Those were the days.
Yeah, those were the days. So, it's Christmas Eve. Mai still hasn't expressed her feelings to Santa. And, finally there's just this moment of reckoning, like, okay, dumbass, you're about to leave, you gotta say something. And so, they finally start to talk. And, it's about to strike midnight. And in a very uncomfortable scene, Sherry and Mai transform and decide to stop time so that they can do like this entire evening that Sherry has planned for the two of them, before it turns midnight. Now, I don't know how the fuck they actually go to dinner when everything and everybody is frozen. It does show them sitting at a table in a restaurant with a bottle of wine. So I don't know what the fuck happens there.
And how did they go to amusement park? Like, if none of the rides can move, you're just kind of walking around.
Yeah. So there was a lot of that and a lot of questions of how this works that are not at all answered. And then, time restarts, she says her goodbye, and, she transforms into her voluptuous Santa, titty Santa form, and flies off with Pedro, our Lord and Savior, back towards the North Pole, and then the credits roll. And that would be kind of a bittersweet ending, right? That'd be like, oh, that kind of sucks, but it was kind of touching.
And they vowed to meet again one day.
And they vowed to meet again one day.
But then,
I mean, she's going to Santa Claus school. Once she gets out of Santa Claus school, she can just come back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she's just got to finish the next 2 years. Only for, at the end of the credits, Miss Noel to show up at Santa's door with Mai in tow, literally. And she throws her at them and says, "What the hell is this crap? You're supposed to send Mai, not Mai." And Mai's name is written on this work order, Mai squared, like they do with like Pen. I can kind of see where the oversight came from.
yeah.
But that was the whole joke. That was the whole reason Mai was there. Was just so they could do this fucking lame ass joke.
And it doesn't even work with like the whole conversation between Mai and Miss Noel earlier. Just like,
yeah,
that's not the conversation you would have had if you just wanted her to send her sister back.
It would have meant that Miss Noel was also just as confused as them, but then also basically made fun of them for being confused. And it's like, well, you were also confused, because why else would you have that conversation?
Well, rule number 1 in gaslighting: don't admit that you're wrong. And even that is not the My Santa 2's biggest sin. Like, completely nullifying like the heartwarming moment at the end. Its biggest sin is teasing a third episode that actually looks kind of baller.
Yeah, Pedro becomes a mech. Like, I was like, that looks sick. I wanted to see that.
Giant transforming reindeer robot that I swear looks like a Go Nagai design. I cannot confirm this. I tried to find out. He did not respond to my DMs.
or Masami Obari.
Yeah, like what? Wait, did I say something different? I meant to say
you said Go Nagai.
Oh,
you said Go Nagai.
Not Go Nagai. I did mean to say Masami Obari. I don't know where that came from, other than I love Go Nagai, but that's a whole other. I meant to say Masami Obari.
I could have seen either or.
Masami Obari did not respond to my DMs. Who knows if Go Nagai would?
I'll say Go Nagai. I feel like it's too old for that.
He might just very well not speak English, and my Japanese was radically incorrect. Or, he didn't see it, and he'll get back to me. But maybe he doesn't check his DMs. Either way. But it just so looks like a Masami Obari mecha design. It's just like, and it would be the first time you did a mecha design that was just like in a couple seconds of an anime. Just for a bit. But how dare they threaten me with a good time in episode 3 and not make it?
Yeah, I was like, I would have rather this been episode 2. I would have loved this.
They probably would have disappointed us, if we're being totally honest, but...
We probably would have only saw the mech for like 5 minutes at most, and then the rest of it was the same nonsense. And we're like, go back to the mech, go back.
Yeah, the exact same jokes in the first two.
Yeah. It probably would have been some of them, they would have said something appropriate in public. She would have then realized she said something inappropriate in public and beat Santa's ass for some reason. The cops would have shown up. Yada, yada, yada. She'd either have another sister or another school friend.
Also, the joke, quote unquote, about how she doesn't look like super voluptuous was weird, because in Japanese, at least the translation I got, kept saying oh, you're flat chested with a toddler like body, and I was like, what the hell? So weird.
She looks like a pretty normal.
Yeah,
I think she's supposed to be 15, right?
Yeah, she looks like a normal teenager.
Like a pretty normal 15-year-old, at least as far as an anime character can.
Yeah, and they kept being like, she's flat chested, and I'm like, I mean, her boobs look pretty average to me. That's another thing about anime is if boobs are average size, that means flat. It's either huge or there's nothing. There's
This
no
just
middle
goes
ground.
back to my Lena Inverse Lum comparison, where within Slayers, Lena Inverse is constantly referred to as flat-chested, and Lum within Urusei Yatsura is referred to as more than once as busty,
Yes.
at least in the original show, especially when, early episodes. I'm pretty sure they have the same size breast.
I think so.
Like, approximately.
I mean, I'm sure there are measurements online.
Probably. That's the other weird thing is you can always find the boob measurements.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always get bust, hips, and waist.
Yep.
These are very important facts you need as an anime fan about your favorite characters.
That's right.
And I also just found it weird that like they lived together for 6 months and they had feelings for each other because this is Ken Akamatsu. Of course they do. And they never mention once that they like each other. Like that was so weird to me that like you lived together alone for 6 months.
This is Ken Akamatsu, the same fucker who thinks that if you walk around without your glasses on, that you don't fucking know who you're talking to anymore. I just took my glasses off. I don't know who the hell is on this podcast anymore. Oh, fuck me. Oh, God. Kevin, Abby, where'd you go? Thank God you're back.
I certainly can't recognize the voice of, someone I've known for a huge chunk of my life and I interact with on a daily basis.
Every single day.
Yeah. I can't recognize your general shape,
Nope.
So I don't know. For Ken Akamatsu world, that seems totally reasonable.
Or like that it also bothered me that like this is more of the first episode problem, but like Santa was kind of just like, I'm lonely and nobody spent time with me, but then it was obvious he had his grandmother, and then he had all these friends who kept inviting him, and he kept not going.
Near the end of the episode to tell you, like, dude, you've got friends. They like you. I don't know why, but you've got friends who like you and are very confused why you're not hanging out with them.
Yeah, like it was so weird, and just like then all of a sudden after that, he's finally like, okay, I guess I'm not sad anymore, and it was just really strange. That was that easy to fix his problems.
Yeah, we kept getting together for combination birthday/Christmas parties for years. Then you got all mopey. What the hell happened, man? It's like,
Yeah, we kept inviting you to shit, but you never came.
Yeah.
I mean, I get being bummed his parents abandoned him for a bunch of other kids. He wasn't enough for them. They needed like 12 other orphans.
They need more orphans.
Yeah. I think his parents may have killed all their parents, honestly.
it's probably a tax dodge. That's why Yakuza open orphanages. That's
Yeah, and like the parents don't get brought up again in the second episode. They kind of are just like,
yeah,
oh,
really, they don't.
It's done with. We don't care about them anymore.
Yeah,
I resolved the issues with my parents, so it doesn't matter if I see them again or talk about them ever.
I'll have 7 kids by the time I see them again.
Yeah, it was also weird that they tried to frame it like, see, his parents are good people. They take care of orphans, and it's like, okay, but like they still abandoned their child and never came home to see him for years. Like, you couldn't make time at all to come for like a weekend or something, even if it wasn't Christmas. Just like at all.
A weekend or fly him out to wherever you are. You've apparently decided to settle down in whatever non-specific country this is with your orphans.
Yeah.
Why not get your son out there?
Yeah.
All white orphans. Let's point this out.
Yes, true.
Abandon my ball.
I have no idea where they might be.
I don't think it was America. They don't care that much about orphans. They just want to force us to have kids, and then after the kids are out, they're like, whatever.
They're taking care of all these unloved orphans in this backwards country called America.
I bet it was probably like, I don't know, somewhere in Europe, probably. That's
the
money's
on South America, actually. Just, if I had to pick a place. South America somewhere. Like, I feel like somewhere in, like, somewhere in Southeast Asia would be the logical thought. But like once again, these are weirdly white-looking kids.
Yeah, they're all white children. I also wonder if they're like those religious people who they go to other countries to take care of, orphans and poor children and families. I wonder if that's what their thing is.
There's a big Presbyterian community in Japan, weirdly. Even though every anime Christian you run into is almost inevitably very Catholic looking.
Yeah.
First, they really actually have a bigger amount of Presbyterians in Japan. And I don't know, they're about the missionary work sometimes.
Yeah.
That'd be weird if his parents were just really weird religious folks. But
I mean, it would make sense with naming him Santa too.
And he knows about the birthday of Jesus.
Yeah.
That was in episode 1.
Yeah.
And that's more than most Japanese people know.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I can't prove that. But it's that was the first Christmas Eve thing I saw was it celebrates the birth of Jesus.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That's I don't expect to hear that in anime, even when they do have a very special Christmas episode.
Yeah, especially since Christmas Eve is more like a date night. I think it's like a romantic thing more than a family event.
But ultimately, I think these holes are largely explained by just Ken Akamatsu is not a very good writer.
Yes.
If you think we're being too hard on Ken Akamatsu, come to our Discord and tell us, but be prepared for us to tell you you're wrong.
Yeah, I'll say that we're not going to back down on.
I'm willing to hear your arguments on Handmaid May, but Ken Akamatsu is a trash author. Fight me.
Yes.
And
a very terrible person, to be honest.
Well, folks, that's all I got on this pile of shit. Let's do Awesomes out of Awesome.
Ho, 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 out of Awesome, I guess.
I'm going to give it my out of Awesome.
That's a much better anime.
That's a hentai.
It's a much better anime.
Damn. Oh, God. That's a reference.
Yeah.
Woo! I give it one completely unnecessary piece of garbage out of Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays.
Watch a real Christmas anime like Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket.
Yes, that's a good one. No.
Yeah. Hit us up on social media. OSMcast, OSMcast. On pretty much all social media, and check us out on YouTube. You can even listen to this maybe on our YouTube page, and we are, as always, edited by the lovely, sexy, talented Anna Berchekis. Anybody else got anything before we sign off?
I will say, if you want to watch a good Christmas anime thing, watch Tokyo Godfathers.
That's also a very good Christmas. And we did an OSMcast episode on that at some point.
To me, that's the best Christmas movie ever of all time. It really, I want to say, gives the Christmas spirit without it being shoved in your face like a lot of Christmas movies are. And it felt very earnest and earned. So I definitely recommend that.
I'm gonna go get my bucket of KFC for Christmas. And,
yeah.
I'll catch you guys next time.